Welcome to the Midwest Education Technology Community Podcast, otherwise known as METC. METC is a nonprofit organization based out of St. Louis, Missouri, with a mission to motivate, engage, transform, and connect all learners to advocacy, partnerships, and professional learning opportunities. METC is a premier affiliate of ISTE. To learn more about METC, follow us on social media at METC EdPlus. You may also check out our website at metcedplus.org. METC is a program of Education Plus. To learn more about Education Plus, go to edplus.org. All right, listeners, the METC podcast staff would like to know what you are doing February 12th through 14th, because if you are not doing anything, which, I know educators are always doing a lot of things, but if you are not attending the METC conference during that time frame, February 12th through 14th, then I highly recommend you look into going, because it is going to be an amazing event. It is our 35th annual conference, and we are excited to have our 35th conference coming up in February 12th through 14th. So if you are excited about technology, if you're excited about how to integrate it within your instruction, if you love watching students get excited about technology and content and instruction, then you need to be at the 35th annual METC conference in February. It's in St. Charles Convention Center. Go to metcedplus.org for more information. That is metcedplus.org for more information. I hope to see you there. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the METC podcast. This is episode 25. In this episode, we will be talking about a film festival that takes place out in the Wentzville School District out in Wentzville, Missouri. My two guests this episode are Samantha Knoll and Amanda Moody, and they are two instructional tech coaches out in that district, and they put on this festival last year. Actually, to say they put it on is a incorrect statement, because it's a purely student-run event, and they talk about how they accomplish that. So they kind of just facilitate and get them what they need and let the students kind of take over. So it's kind of cool. It was a great conversation. I'm pretty excited to go out there and see it this year, about in March, I believe, to kind of see the results and see how they turn in the movies that they get. And so it's a pretty cool event. If you are interested in checking out any of those resources that they talk about, it is in the show notes at metcedplus.org. You can find it under the About tab, and then you will see the link to the show notes on that page. So connect with them on Twitter. They give out their email addresses, so you can connect with them there as well, and see if you want to bring a film festival to your own building or district. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into episode 25, Wentzville's Film Festival. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the METC podcast. I kind of figured that one guest this episode was not enough, so I brought on two. I have two bubbly instructional coaches from the Wentzville School District, and they are going to introduce themselves, and we'll talk about their topic for today. So, Sam, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yes, my name is Samantha Hardesty Knoll, and I'm an instructional technology coach for the Wentzville School District. I primarily serve our 12 elementary schools, since my background in the classroom was in the elementary classroom.
And we also have Amanda. Amanda, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amanda Moody, and I work with our middle schools and high schools here in Wentzville. So 3 middle schools, 3 high schools. Just announced we're building a 4th high school.
Woo!
And another elementary school. always growing, always progressing out here in Wentzville.
More work to do.
Yes, more work, always.
Good. So that's a little bit about what you're doing currently. Let's talk a little bit more about your background. What have you taught? Where have you been? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so my background is in teaching high school English. So I taught high school English at one of our high schools out here, Timberland High School. And so that's my background with secondary students. And a lot of storytelling goes on in English, so it works really well with our topic today.
And my background is split in between elementary and middle school education. Started teaching at an elementary school in Sedalia, Missouri. And then I moved to Rolla, Missouri, where I taught for 8 years at Rolla Middle School, home of the Bulldogs. And then moved back to what I consider home and have been in the Wentzville School District for 12 years now, both in the classroom and then in my coaching position.
Okay, very nice. So today's topic is all about a film festival. And so I'm intrigued to learn more about this. And so can you give me a little background information about what this festival is all about?
Sure. I'm going to start out with just like how the idea came about. And really it was just some educators sitting around talking about the problem that we have that students don't want to write and how to find an authentic way to get our students more engaged in their writing. And that's when it kind of all led into let's do a film festival. And from there, that idea, the idea was born. And so last year was our very first year for the Wentzville Film Festival.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a Wentzville School District Foundation, and they put out a grant. And as that grant came up, then we kind of got together and said, this would be perfect. We don't need a lot of funds to do it, but this would be a good push for us to create an event that students could show off their writing and creative skills through filmmaking. So that was part of the origins of it as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so when you say film festival, I go back to what we used to have at the METC conference, the Show Me a Movie contest. 2 minutes long, had to be around it. What kind of requirements or what needs to happen in order for a student to submit something to the film festival?
The most important thing for a film festival is it's completely student driven. So in making some of those decisions, we were trying to decide what categories would be good for students. And so we have several categories that students can submit under. And each one of those categories is going to have different requirements for it as far as like time.
So we have 7 different categories, and when we were developing these, we really wanted we didn't want to restrict kids' creativity, so we didn't want to have them be so strict that they felt like they were writing just for that category. So we wanted ones that would really appease what goes on in the classroom, so teachers could work this into their curriculum if they wanted, or students could just say, one of our categories and most popular ones is story. I just wanted to tell a narrative, and it doesn't matter if it's comedy or drama, just a short film. So kids could really be creative that way with it. So the categories just give it a little structure, allows us to help pick winners as well, and I'm sure we'll get into that. We do have some rules, so we do want them to make sure that they're doing original material, copyrighted materials are cited, and we have some of that in our ruling as well. We also have based on ages for our winners. So we have elementary, middle, and high school divided up into categories. So
that's me one of my questions.
With their categories.
Okay, good enough.
So those were some of the thoughts. But again, it all started with that writing piece, and so that helped us develop how we were judging and gives it some structure that way. But really, it's all about them creating and putting something out there.
And are students doing this during class? Are they doing it on their own at home, after school projects? What's typical?
It's really up to the students and to teachers. We have a few teachers across the district that do it as a club. We have a few teachers that do it as part of an assignment in their classroom. And then we just have students that create on their own. And really, you could see after watching the films kind of the passion the students have for creating films on their own.
Very nice. And so last year was your first year, right?
First year. Yeah.
How many did you have submitted last year?
We had over 100 films that were submitted.
100 in your first year?
In the first year.
Yes, which we are so proud. We're so proud of that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You ready for a whole onslaught this year then, right?
We are.
We have more teachers involved. We have a little committee now as we anticipate more films will be submitted.
Okay, so let's talk about that process then. Sure. So you had 100 come in last year. You anticipate obviously a lot more this year. What prompted the committee, and what is the committee going to be doing?
Yeah, the committee is just going to help us really have more voices across the district. We had the festival last year, so when we met with the committee this year, we just took volunteers to come on. We wanted some feedback on how it went last year, if there's anything that they thought we should do differently. And then they're going to help us also with the judging process. They're also spread out through the district, so they help us promotionally to advertise and be a voice in their school or area to help promote the festival as well. So it's really just trying to make sure that we are really representing the district as we're, building out our rules and are making sure we're really meeting their needs.
Okay. And so teachers get involved, students start creating, and they finish the product. What do they finish? What are they doing the product on? Do they have a specific program? Are you using iMovie or is it Movie Maker? What do you guys use, or does it matter?
It doesn't specifically matter what tool that they are using. However, we as a district did purchase 4,000 seats in WeVideo, so that they do have a tool that they can fall back on. And we found that quite a few use them, but students, they get to decide. Some just use their phones as a recording device, or some are using their iPads or whatever equipment that they have. So
awesome. So they get submitted, right? And you said the due date for 2018 is going to be, you said in March, I believe.
March 21st, yes.
March 21st. And so...
submission February 21st. The festival's March 21st. So submission deadlines.
Gotcha. All right, so the deadline is in February. And how quickly of a turnaround do you guys have before the actual evening? Because you have a special event at night, right?
Yes.
So
yeah,
we'll get to that
and that's what really takes a lot of our prepping and planning time. Not so much. We have resources for our teachers. Sam and I are out in the schools doing demos of WeVideo. Teachers are having us in. We have some clubs around the district. One of our elementary schools has a film festival club or a filming club that meets in the morning. So we're going out there and helping them. And we have resources. WentzvilleFilmFestival.com is our website if you all want to check it out. But on there, we have some resources for our teachers and we're supporting. But really a lot of the planning and everything happens in preparation for the event. That's on March 21st at Liberty High School.
Right. Okay. And so what take us into the event? What if I decided to show up this year, what would I see?
Yeah, we're all about the experience of the event. And
awesome.
It is, and we keep saying this, but it really is. We have a committee of teachers, but honestly, it's student driven. So a student designed the website, student designed the promotional poster. On our homepage at WentzvilleFilmFestival.com, you'll see a video that one of our freshmen at Liberty made this year as a promotional piece for the festival. And the night of is ran by students. So the experience is you come in, we have a red carpet laid out. You come in and we have student photographers that are like the paparazzi taking pictures.
Nice.
They have all sorts of, the journalism kids from our high schools come and volunteer their time there. So they are the press. They're asking questions. They're snapping pictures. We had kind of a photo booth area last year for them to take pictures. And that's all happening right before the event starts. So it's supposed to be like you've showed up to a movie premiere and
that's awesome.
We're seeing your video.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then we have a core group of students who actually are our host for the night. And they introduce the categories, and they're in charge of writing their own script so that they can entertain the audience while they're there. So this past year we had 3 hosts because we couldn't decide between. They were all so good.
So great together too.
They were. So they really worked in conjunction with each other to just lay the set out for the evening, introduce all the different categories. We also have a team that builds the set so that it is set up like a very grand affair inside of our, it was held at Timberland last year, so inside their theater.
Okay.
And it was so cute. They all had little skits they would do before each category. So their skit was based on the category type.
Yeah.
And they really had it reflect their personalities, and that's because they helped write the script as well. Students also design the music for the night that plays between, and they help backstage with the lighting, and they're really involved with the whole process. So the teachers are more facilitating, help holding auditions for hosts, getting and organizing and supervising practice and time to build the set and all of that leading up to the event.
Oh, it sounds like a lot goes into the event itself.
We want it to be special. We want the kids to really know that this is a big deal, that they're piece has been selected, and they get an award that night. So they get a little trophy.
So of the 100 that were submitted last year, 100 plus that were submitted last year, how many of them go to this award evening?
So
Abouts.
how many?
Well, our goal is to honor 3 per category. So 1 elementary, 1 middle school, and 1 high school for each of the categories we had.
Okay.
There were some categories that weren't fully represented, so there's one category that we didn't have a middle school submission in. So I would say we had about, I think 15 maybe awards that we gave out.
Okay.
So the night of, we show all the winning films, and then we have the kids come up and get their awards.
And some of the awards go to an entire class, so a class can submit a video. So we
For
had
our younger kids,
we had a group
Okay.
of first graders who won. So the entire class came to the
Nice.
evening, and they all went up on stage. So
It was the cutest thing.
yes,
It was-
Very
so
cool.
they have the support of their families around them, and then some of the students that submitted and are interested in the process and in film, they came to support, even though they weren't chosen this year. So that we had some support that way as well.
Awesome. Very good. So it sounds like an amazing experience, an event, an evening, and everything like that. So if I'm listening to this podcast and want to tackle that and bring it to my district or building, where would I start? What would
So we actually started a full calendar year before the actual event occurred. So there was 12 months of planning that went in before we ever did our first film festival. So securing a place was probably one of our top priorities, is making sure that we have a space that will fit what we need. That was a big deal. And then securing funding and our funding wasn't huge.
Yeah, the thing you need to know is you really could do this with a very, very low budget. I mean, really, you don't have to have fancy trophies. You just need a place to show the videos. And you can be creative with how your teachers are able to use technology to film. I mean, a lot of our videos were filmed on kids' cell phones or their parents' cell phones or the teacher's cell phone. So you can be really low tech, with this to get it together. And the night of can be simple. Yeah. So
and with the use of WeVideo, I mean, it's web based, and so you can use the webcam on your device if you really had to. So yeah, I can see how your budget could be very, very little because you're using your own school. I mean, so yeah, I think that's very doable from a budget standpoint. But I like the idea of starting a year out. You have to make sure you plan that far ahead, so it's not something that if I wanted to do in, say, this coming March, because, well, that would be a lot of extra work to put together.
Well, if you go to our website, though, there's a lot of resources that we're happy to share that you don't have to build. We spent a lot of time coming up with our categories. We spent a lot of time building out our scoring guides for how we're going to judge things, and then actually testing those out with different videos to see how it would come out once we started scoring things. So there was a lot of time spent on that piece, and then also just who are our people throughout the district that can help as far as our journalism classes. How can we get them involved? How can we get our librarians involved? One of our librarians does her own mini film festival. So all the films run through her, Miss Kelly Oliva. Okay. All the films run through her, and then they go on from the building competition into the district competition, which is a great model that we'd love other people to.
And like we said, a couple of our schools, we have a middle school and an elementary school that created a film club around the competition. And we also have a newer 8th grade curriculum in our computer class, and they have worked in the film festival as one of their big projects. The kids have to submit to the film festival as one of their projects in that course. That's
awesome. So it's almost like you're creating regional events that you have to pre-qualify for to get to the major events. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, anything else that you want to, any other ideas or tips that you want to throw out to the audience as we talk about bringing a film creation to their district before we wrap up?
I think the big thing is don't be afraid to have kids help with this process. So get them involved with helping you make promotional materials and making, we had a kid design the Google site that you're seeing at wentzvillefilmfestival.com, had them make posters, and I think doing things like that and getting them invested is going to help also promote for them to make films too. Yeah. So I think that's a piece, and look for your people in your district that are going to help you through the process and inspire kids to make videos in their buildings. I think that's another big piece that really helped us be successful last year and will help us be successful this year.
And I think just getting out of the way and letting the kids be creative and celebrating their creations. Really.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that needs to be driven home for really any topic, but this topic for sure, that to help get buy-in and make it more meaningful for students, it needs to have that student voice and choice embedded in it. And it sounds like this project really has that, from the ability to choose whatever topic you really want, to have it fit into categories, and then to go all the way up to students really kind of run the promotion and the website and everything else. So it sounds pretty amazing. So yeah, teachers just have to be able to kind of get out of the way, let loose of some of that control, and let students take over. It may not be as perfect as a teacher may want it, but it's going to be as close to perfect for the kid, and that's really all that matters, right? So, all right, so as we wrap up the episode, I want to thank you for joining us. Make sure that you share your contact information with. I'm going to have you kind of wrap things up here.
Sure.
So tell us who you are, where you're from, how can we connect with you, and because I'm sure our audience has some questions.
All right, so yeah, please feel free to reach out to us at any time if you want to start this process or talk more about it, or you want to come observe. We'd love to have you join us at our big event on March 21st. My name's Samantha Hardesty Knoll with the Wentzville School District. You can contact me at samanthaknoll@wsdr4.org, or connect with me at Twitter at technoll, KNOLL.
And again, I'm Amanda Moody at Wentzville. No, just kidding. At WSDR4.org. I'm glad it's no longer Wentzville.k12.mo.us.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, that is a mouthful. Yeah. Or on Twitter at techmoody.
Very nice. And all the information they shared, the link to their website, their information is all available on our show notes at metcedplus.org, so you can find it all there. Amanda and Samantha, I want to make sure I thank you. And this was a pleasure, and I can't wait to learn more about your festival that's coming up in a couple of months.
Thank you.
All right. And for those that are listening and you're in the Wentzville area, if you have children and you don't know about this film festival, you need to ask your students and get them involved, because they want a lot more submitted this year. All right, thank you. And that concludes episode 25 of the METC podcast. I want to thank you, the listeners, for checking it out and hanging in with us on this episode and any previous episodes you may have caught. If you've missed any of the previous 24 episodes, they are available on our website, iTunes, Google Play, you know it. So, but as for this episode, 25, the Wentzville Film Festival, I want to give a shout out to Amanda Moody and Samantha Knoll for sitting down with me and talking about their festival. That was a great conversation. I love seeing student creation. I love seeing what they can do, and I love to see what happens when us adults get out of the way and let students create, because they are born creators. So it's pretty cool. And again, I'm going to go check it out there in March, so I'm pretty excited about that myself. So if you want to hook up with them, they gave us contact information within there. It's also in the show notes. Again, go to metcedplus.org for more information to get that. Also, within that webpage where you'll find our show notes, you will find ways to interact with the podcast itself. We are trying out new things as we add more and more episodes, and one of which is involving our use of Flipgrid with our episodes. And so last episode, if you were... 2 episodes ago, being curious with our librarian out in Wentzville, we added a Flipgrid. And so if you are inclined, if you are using video creation or any kind of podcast creation with your students, and you want to share out how you're doing it with our listeners, and that would be great. And so if you can go to our show notes, you'll find a link to our Flipgrid page and find the Flipgrid for episode 25. It's also in the show notes if you want to get a direct link to episode 25's Flipgrid, but you can also find a link to all of the Flipgrids as they become more and more popular, hopefully. So connect with us. You can also reach out and leave us any comments, rate us on iTunes, Google Play, pass us on to a colleague if you know of anybody who would like to or would benefit from the podcast. We greatly appreciate that as well. So until our next episode, I appreciate your listening, and have a great one. Just a reminder, METC Conference 35th Annual is this February 12th through 14th. You should be signed up. If you're not, head to metcedplus.org for more information and to sign up. While you're there, check out these names: Sarah Thomas, Olivia Van Letje, Steve Dembo, Tom Murray, Kristen Madsen, Robert Corbin, Mila Fuller. Those are just the headliners, the keynoters, and the featured speakers. Amazing. Now you add these names into it: Sophie Chambers, Josh Howard, Aaron Lawson, Sadie Lewis, Chantel Mason, Kelly Oliva, and Bethany Petty. Those are our Spotlight educators. All of those will be presenting at this conference. What an amazing event. Plus, a lot more that I don't have time to go in and mention. We will have over 200 sessions to check out. So check out metcedplus.org for more information and sign up today. Don't miss this 35th annual conference. Thank you for listening to the Midwest Education Technology Communities podcast, otherwise known as METC. To learn more about METC, check out our website at metcedplus.org or follow us on social media at METC EdPlus. Learn more about Education Plus at edplus.org.